Welcome to the first, maybe only, who knows if this will see the light of day, the post TNG breakdown podcast, something. Help us out. We are crafting up names as we're going tonight. But these nights are just going to be us. These podcasts are just going to be us recording. I'm just fumbling my way through this. Like I said, figuring this out. We're just like breaking down what God did on our Thursday nights here in YWAM Harpenden. What was our speaker? What was our topic? And what are we going to do with what they brought? We were reflecting that over a year, we do, 35, 40 of these.
Yeah,
and
probably.
I don't remember them all. And so we're just looking for ways of like, I want to be reminded of like what was brought. The notes we took tonight, that's going to help me remember what we did. But we're hoping that this podcast will do that for everyone that's like tuning in as well.
Yeah.
So my name is Colin Dill. I'm part of the YWAM staff team here, help run these Thursday nights. This is my co-host, Tilia Carvalho.
Yes, it is. Crazy Carvalho.
I haven't had to say your last name in a hot minute there. Almost went Nordley, but not anymore.
I have a new last name, guys.
Yeah. And we make up part of the TNG team here. The rest of them are sitting back here making this wonderful production happen. But yeah, tonight we had our good friend from Circuit Riders, Michael Pierce, come in. And this quarter, we have a theme of going through our legacy words as YWAM.
Yeah.
And that being the waves of young people from everywhere to everywhere, the spheres of influence, ending Bible poverty now. Lauren Cunningham's great emphasis on that there is now. We're not ending it in a few years. We're not ending it in a few decades, right now. And then last but not least, the Christian Magna Carta. But tonight, Michael brought a word on waves of young people and what that looks like for us to carry out and do that strong. And so as we go through this, we just want to kind of go back and forth on what stood out to us tonight, what we felt was brought, how we felt the room was, those kinds of things. So I don't know, Tilia, what did you think of tonight and tonight's TNG?
It was honestly just such a wonderful night of the presence of the Lord. I always enjoy going into these meetings and being so expectant of what God is going to do. And yeah, even in the beginning, we were opening up with the Bible verse and the worship started right away. And the hunger in the room was just like stirring so fast. And it is something when like, you don't even need the worship leader to sing in the microphone because the room is just carrying out the worship themselves. And it's just such a sweet presence of the Lord. And joy breaks out straight away. People are dancing, moving around. You don't have to wait till the last song until like people start, moving, but like actually begins the first song. And yeah, it was just really a sweet presence of the Lord in the beginning, which was just such a blessing.
Yeah. And I said this, I think like in our debrief afterwards, like it's just so fun that we are in a position here just outside of London where people can easily get to us and we can collab with all of these different people and having our friend Pedro Neto come up and lead worship for us tonight. And it's such a joy when he comes through. It's a blessing for our community that we get to hear other voices, other songs and what God's doing in these other places. So like that was one of the things I wrote down, like first and foremost was like, what's happening in here? You're like, Pedro's here.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's happening tonight.
Come on.
And he just brings something to the room that is like such a joy to have. And every single time we try to convince him, like just do a DTS and do this for us every week.
Just come and be
sooner
here.
Or later, God willing, it'll actually happen. But yeah, I agree. There's something different this quarter. From ones in the past. And I think every quarter kind of builds on the next, but this one felt like we took a leap from maybe even a year ago to what God's doing on these Thursday nights. And it's so much fun to be a part of them and be in the room.
Even like people from the outside coming in, like this is like at our YWAM community, but people from the outside are coming in and like we're filling the chapel with non-YWAMers. And it's beautiful to be able to connect communities together. It doesn't have to be just YWAM, but we can connect local communities, local churches, local young people, and everyone can come to the presence of the Lord. Yeah. And that is such a blessing to be able to spread unity amongst us, because honestly, YWAM is not the only organization. We're not a church, but like being able to connect unity between churches, between organizations, and just like see the presence of the Lord together and grow in our knowledge of God is just such a blessing. So it was beautiful having Michael preach this evening and having Pedro lead worship, which is just such a great opportunity of unity.
Was there anything like from Michael's message, maybe a couple quotes or something that stood out to you? Yeah,
he said something, what is a missionary? And he said, I'm just going to read from the phone, a Christian who believes that their call is to take on the responsibility to let other people know about Jesus. man, like that is the simple truth of just being a missionary. It's just to let other people know who Jesus is.
Yeah.
And it's such a simple act. You think it's such a, oh man, I have to be a missionary. I have to go to Africa, Asia. Like I have to travel, leave my friends and family. But actually being a missionary is something that you do just in your day-to-day life, like sharing about Jesus around you. And it just takes off the weight of the missionary word and you bring it into like a lighter word of like, no, actually, how can I be a missionary in my school? Because I can just share about Jesus. And not to have like such a heavy weight of like, oh my gosh, I have to leave everything. But like you can just like literally tell your friends around you about Jesus. And I think that was something that stood out to me a little bit in the beginning. Yeah, he mentioned these things.
Yeah. And I think that's like what I wrote down, I think even like plays on that was when Lauren said yes to this word, that like he had this vision of waves crashing over the nations, waves of young people from everywhere to everywhere, covering the earth. You know, people taking the gospel everywhere they went. When he got that, like Lauren said yes to that vision, but only God knew that we would be sitting in this room tonight, that all these people would be hearing this word tonight. That, you know, Lauren's probably like, okay, great. Yeah, sure. Like, what do I do? What's my first step of obedience? And 65 years later, 5+ million people trained in YWAM, the gospel preached to like hundreds and thousands, millions of people all around the world every single year now. Like it's happening in mass. Blessing. You know, and it started with one guy in a room having a vision. Yeah. And now, we're here, we're carrying it. And I think that's like so appropriate for the word he brought of being like from going out of Joshua 1 and that the passing of Moses received a word from God. And Moses not only received it, but inherited a word that had been passed down through Abraham, Isaac, Jacob to the 12 tribes. Moses catches this word, you know, but really is this like first massive leader for the Israelites coming out of Egypt. And everyone's following him for 40 years through this desert. Crazy. And now we're going to land in this place of he's gone. And we've taken wild steps of obedience. We've left Egypt. We've walked through the desert. Moses is gone. What do we do? And here's Joshua. Like to carry this word for these people, and like the weight of like, I don't know, he turns around and there's millions of people standing behind him and he's like, okay, God, like what now? Yeah. You know, and what that means for us in the context of our words. Yeah. And it is crazy to think of like how Moses' yes affected Joshua's life. Like you never know what your yes how it will affect other people, and like how Moses' yes to the burning bush when he was speaking to the Lord, and then this whole crazy story unfolds, and now Joshua is conquering and taking the land that Moses was initially supposed to do, but he finished the task. And it's just crazy to see how will if you bring it into like your own life, how will my life affect other people's lives? Like my yes to share the gospel, my yes to live a full surrendered life to Jesus, how will that affect someone else's life? And if you bring it into that perspective, like people's lives can be changed by your yes. Yeah. Which is just massive. Like you think like, oh, little me, you know, but actually like God has a plan for your life, and your yes can affect so many people. Like you said with Lauren, like he said yes to the vision of the wave, and now like 5 million people have been trained within YWAM, like the gospel preached among thousands of people because of one man's yes. And that's why we're sitting here today as well, being able to make this podcast. Like it's crazy to think like how my yes can be such a ripple effect into the future. Yeah. And how God's plan is just so much bigger. Tonight, what circuit riders are doing, and Michael Pierce, and you know, bringing that message all the way out here to us, what they're doing, what we're doing, like wasn't even a thought on his mind. Yeah. It was just like those simple steps of like, what do I do next? And I think that's great out of like the verses that he shared. So he preached out of Joshua 1 and he pulled these 5 principles from it that we'll just hit real quick. And the promise of his presence. So God's like, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to do this thing. When we say yes to the words that he's delivered for us, he's like, I'm going to go with you. And then he emphasizes the need for courage in that. He states that our success will only happen if we cling to the word, like the Bible, scripture, the word of the Lord, like those kinds of things. Like we're not going to be successful, you know, because he says like, take the law, take the things that Moses gave you, take them with you as you go into the land. And it's not enough to just like walk into the promise without like, my presence will go with you, but if you don't keep doing the things I've given you, then you're going to lose it. It's going to slip. He rebukes fear and anxiety, and the leader must respond to the command. Like these were the 5 principles that he like shared with us tonight, and how we can take courage as leaders and we can step out and do these simple things. And I think they're so simple, like even just starting with like, I will go with you.
Yeah.
And for me, like the amount of times where you get some crazy word of the Lord, like our family, like we were just talking about this before we started, you know, and our friend Tiago, who's on our team as well, like we've spent tens of thousands of pounds of dollars, you know, even like translating it to Norwegian kroner, like hundreds of thousands of kroner to like be here in this nation. Like that's why I could have a really nice car. But God said, move to the UK, go do this thing. And you just go, okay, like I will be with you. Like, trust me. And it has every single time the money's shown up, we've paid off our visas, we've paid off our indefinite leave. Like God shows up again and again. But like, if I just see like that price tag in front of me, I got no shot. But I'm like, I'm clinging to the word of the Lord. He's coming with me. This is what he said. I'm going to go courageously when, you know, like even the last time it took a month for the money to come in. We had a friend reach out. He's like, hey, did you get that money I sent? And it was the exact bit we needed to pay it off.
Oh man, God is so good.
You know, and we're like, no, we didn't. And we found out it was like a weird chain of events that it went to a different account and not to ours. And it got fixed immediately. We had the money. Like, but that fear and anxiety can creep in. I'm going, okay, God, like it's about to hit the credit card. I stepped out in faith. I said, yes, we paid it off. Like, but now here comes the interest. Like it's going to be more. And all of a sudden it's gone and it's paid for and it's taken care of. Like what it just does when you're like, okay, I've said yes to the word of the Lord. I know he's with me. No fear and anxiety. Let's go do this thing. And you just see what happens when you continue to say yes and trust in God, like amidst the fear and the crazy things. But that's what courage is about. Is that fear exists.
Man, God is just so kind and faithful. He even says the words of like, you know, I will take your heavy yoke and I will give you my light one. And even like facing fear and like being courageous doesn't mean that you don't have fear. Like to be courageous is to face your fears and to do it anyway. And there's such like a promise of the Lord to be like, even though you're fearful, I will stand with you. Even though you're going to face hardships, I will be with you. And he never said like in this Christian life, you will never experience hardships, but he said, I will be with you every step of the way. Like me moving from Norway, you moving from America, like it is a lot of challenges that comes with that, culture shocks, different things like, you know, finances, working in YWAM, but man, God's faithfulness is just so good. And he walks with us in every single step of the way.
So true.
And even bringing that into like sharing the gospel, like it can be so, oh man, the amount of times my heart has been like, dig, 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 dig. Every time I have to like share the gospel with someone and fear creeps in, I can either choose to take a hold of the fear and like be crippled by it, or I can choose to say like, no, you know what? God called me to this and I will be courageous and I will step into what God has for me and I will walk against the fear. And man, my yes again, then what ripple effect will that have into other people's lives? And like fear is not something to like shy away from or even like yield under, but actually to go against, because God said like, I will be with you. And if you trust him, you obey him. If you know him, you trust him, you will obey. And if you obey him, his life for your life, his purpose for your life is just so much better. And his yes for your life is just so much better than you could ever imagine. Which is why, like, you shouldn't like cripple under the fear, but go against the fear. Which is just, it's hard.
Yeah, it's true. Like I think back to like, even like in my DTS, you know, you grew up in YWAM. I grew up as a pastor's kid. I grew up in the church, but even stepping into YWAM, I remember going on outreach, and the first thing I had to do was like preach the gospel to someone on a university campus. You know, we say that and we think of like guy on the soapbox with the banner of like the 27 reasons you're going to hell and like those kinds of things. You're just like, I just walked up to a guy who's like, hey, just want you to know Jesus loves you. And then he goes, why? Oh, well, thanks for asking. You know, like this crazy thing. And I think I kind of grew up in like, how did you preach the gospel? I was like, oh, I don't know. You invite them to church. Right? Like, and then they come on Sunday and then the gospel gets preached and they have a chance to get saved and praise God. Like I did it. And then you're just like, oh man, actually sharing the gospel is just one of the simplest things. What did God do? How did you respond? Offer it to your friend. Like that's
literally.
It's like the simplest thing. But I think, it is, for some reason, the simple things are always like the most terrifying.
Exactly.
Right? Like I remember, maybe you remember this on the flip side of getting proposed to, but I remember when I proposed to my wife and like, I know she's going to say yes, but it's still like the most nerve-wracking moment like in my life of like asking that question.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no way she says no. Like we've talked about it. She helped me pick out a ring. Like we've done the whole thing. What if she says no?
Yeah, what if?
And you're like, okay, well, she won't. Like, you know, and when it comes to the gospel, you're like, well, what if I don't say it right?
Yeah.
God's bigger than whatever words you stumble over when you try to do these simple things. And the courage it takes to be a leader, to do something. And I think that even like, what are you going to walk away with from like this week? What are you going to do with this message? And I think that's even a key of why we wanted to start this podcast.
Yeah.
It's because we get so many amazing speakers that come through here, so many great worship leaders, all of these things that happen. And then it's just another week. And it's another great speaker. And we're like, man, I hope that's a good one. Right. And then we're like, you know, we're in the spreadsheet, planning it out, getting like payments done, getting, make sure rides are all set, making sure musicians are ready to go, and the slides people and all these kinds of things. We're just going, well, that was a good week. Praise God. I hope it changed someone's life. Like, but I know one TNG, like when I was at a different community, nobody shared anything like this. There weren't any crazy notes, but there are impactful moments, but we want to help people do more with what is brought.
Yeah.
And I think Michael's tonight was a great, even for us, it's like, thank God we had an amazing message to start on.
Yeah.
And it's so simple, but what are you going to do with this message, this call to courage, this call to lead, and what it means for us, like in the waves of young people that we want to see in YWAM.
Yeah. I feel like you can take it so broad and make it like huge and be like, oh my gosh, I have to do all these crazy big stuff, you know? But even just take it down to the first level, what is the simplest step you can do is to just say yes to God and to the mission he has for you. And the next step is, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do with this? Yes. And then share the gospel with your school friend or share your gospel with your colleague. And you can make it into such a huge thing and put this massive burden. But if you peel it down into like the simplest, like what is the first thing I have to do? I will say yes to God. Yeah. And what will happen after that? Okay, what is my yes? I will share the gospel with one person this week. And that can just be like, it can feel like the most biggest thing ever. But the more we do it, the easier it will be as well. Yeah. And like it takes away, like the more you do something, like the fear will be taken away from it. But instead of looking at it as like a massive thing, like peel away the layers to be like, what is the first step I will do? Yeah, the first step I will do is to say yes to God. What is the next step? I will ask him, what should I do? And then the next step for that, you do what he says. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a friend a long time ago, he talked about the difference between normal and typical. And he's like, when you have a cold, those symptoms aren't normal. They're typical for what a cold is, because your body is not normal when you have a cold or you have something like that, right? And like he applied that to Christianity. Yeah. We could look at Christianity today and we go, oh, well, that's normal. We know that's typical Christianity today, but it's not normal. And that normal is like, pray for the sick, preach the gospel, see the dead raised. Like that's what Jesus was doing. Like that's like the Gospels are full of that. And you know, John says that like even if like had all the books in the world, like it wouldn't fill what, like, it wouldn't be enough to fill what Jesus did. Crazy. And I think that idea of like, hey, do this, just do it. Like break that fear until it becomes normal. Where you're doing like the normal Christian thing is what's in the Gospels, is what's in the book of Acts and what Paul talks about. Like that's normal Christianity, is to live our lives like that. And those things we can do. But it takes like that one step at a time. Like we watch Peter just be a fool day after day as a disciple of Jesus. And then we watch him be like the foundation that the church is built on. We watch Paul like doing gnarly things with his life. And then in one encounter with Jesus, and he becomes a massive leader amongst the Gentiles of the time. Like those simple steps that they take and those moments that build towards it. And we always we jump into some leader's life. When somebody shows up on the scene, they've been doing it for decades. Like they didn't, I don't know, like we look at some of our friends and like, they didn't just start running stadium events and they didn't just start doing these things. They're like, they started with 12 people in a prayer room. That turned into a classroom full of people that were hungry for what they were doing. That turned into bases, that turned into community plants, that turned into stadiums, that turned into so much more. But like you jump into the stadium part of their life and you're like, I want that. And you're like, yeah, but it took years of the small, simple things, the yes.
Small yeses.
So even like right now, like a young person, what would be like one thing you're like, hey, go do this tomorrow. Like this is your call to action. Do this to apply the message. What would be like your thought?
What would be my thought if I would apply the message tomorrow?
Yeah.
I think I would challenge myself to share the gospel with someone.
Yeah.
So like literally I go to the store and I'm like asking the Lord, who should I speak to? And man, God wants to be a part, like he wants to do this life with you and he longs for his children to come back to him, you know? So if I ask him the question, like, who should I speak to today? He will answer.
Yeah.
Because he longs for us to share the gospel, one, but also for his children to come back to him. So yeah, I think it would be the challenge of like, if I'm walking on the road, to not be filling my ears with music, podcasts, lots of noise, but actually be attentive to God and listen. God, is there anyone you want me to speak to? And then embrace the challenge.
Yeah.
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 And what's the worst that can happen? They say no.
Yeah, but you did it.
I did it. Exactly.
The best thing you did was that you stepped out in
Exactly.
obedience.
I stepped out in obedience.
Yeah.
And if they don't want it, they don't want it. But at least I obeyed the Lord and I was trusting in him and I went against my fear.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's awesome. I think I wrote that down. I wrote down like some other simple things that, man, we would love to see. If you're listening to this, just want to encourage you to do this week. But just grab some friends and start something.
Yeah.
Like the first thing you can do, you can walk out and just find some of the friends around you and just go, hey, I need some guys in my life. Like, let's meet once a week and challenge each other to grow in these things. Go start a prayer group. Go start a Bible study. Go start an evangelism group. But do something. Like one little thing.
Yeah.
Be a courageous leader amongst your friends, amongst your community.
Yeah.
What can you do right now?
That's good.
Like when this podcast wraps up, you're done listening or end it, you know, like we're just going to kind of like blab on from here and wrap up. Like go do it now. Like go find your roommate, go find your brother, your sister, like whatever it is, like go do something though. And it doesn't have to be big. Yeah. It can just like, it needs to be a step forward. You know, that was Joshua's. He got before the Lord and accepted the challenge to take on leadership of the Israelites and taking the promised land and those kinds of things. But his yeses started way before that. And that was when he got sent in as a spy 40 years earlier. And it was like, we can do this. You know, him and Caleb being best bros going like, let's do this thing. You know, it started way before. And that's how God knew he could hand this massive undertaking to Joshua.
Yeah.
It wasn't to another random guy that he brought up amongst them. It was this guy. But his again, if you jump into the book of Joshua, you're like, well, that's awesome. But jump in Exodus and find out where Joshua's story starts and remember where he came from and what he had to do to get there and those little steps he took.
Yeah, simple yes.
Yeah, if you want to be leading some crazy ministry one day or you want to see thousands get saved or your university changed, it starts with like, grab some friends, start praying.
Yeah.
Grab one other friend, head out into the quad, share the gospel. Go do something though.
Yeah.
And I think that's like what we want to see most, like from messages like this one today. Like we're not going to see waves of young people if we just sit around.
Yeah.
It takes us all in the momentum of what we're all doing to like lead to something great.
That's amazing. Man, and it's a simple yes to the Lord and it can lead into great things. If you're faithful in the small, you can be faithful in the big.
Come on.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us in this podcast. I think we nailed it. We'll see. I'll listen back and I'll be like, oh gosh, that's awful. Or, you know, maybe be encouraged for like the next 50. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I just want to wrap up. I want to invite you all out next week. Come join us in the following weeks. You can join us live here in Harpenden in the chapel, like where we're sitting right now, this beautiful space, typically filled with like a couple hundred people, 50 people. It's still a great night. It's just a good place to be on a Thursday. Come get encouraged here, be part of some great worship, some community, hear a great word. But come join us in person for these nights and look out for more podcasts. Next week, we have our friend Yolene Wolfson coming in from YWAM is going to be sharing on the spheres of influence. So I'm excited to hear what she has to bring, knowing that the schools she has worked with in the past and the things that she has done in that. And so, come join us for the following weeks, 7:00 in the chapel, Thursday nights.
It's going to be good.
TNG, come join us. We'll see you guys.
See you guys.